Imagine a quiet morning on December 7th, 1941. The Hawaiian Islands, Pearl Harbor. The sun is just peeking over the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of pink. On the decks of the battleships, sailors in snow-white uniforms slowly sip coffee from tin mugs, joke about last night's shore leave, and polish brass fittings. On the Arizona, the band quietly rehearses the anthem before the flag is raised. On the bridge of the West Virginia, young officers discuss their weekend plans. Everything is calm. No one has the slightest idea that in just a few minutes the sky will be filled with the roar of hundreds of engines. At the same time, at 0740 local time, right in the middle of the harbor, 500 meters from the Arizona, the air suddenly begins to tremble. Sailors on nearby ships freeze with mugs in their hands. The water starts to boil as if from a massive explosion, but without a sound. From a blinding flash like the discharge of a giant lightning bolt, an enormous gray silhouette slowly materializes, a flat deck as long as 3 football fields, an angular island superstructure, not a single smokestack, not a single gun turret. It is the nuclear aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, the pride of the U.S. Navy in 2025, carrying a full air wing on board, more than 80 state-of-the-art aircraft. Chaos reigns on the bridge of the Ford. Just moments ago, the ship had been conducting night exercises in the Atlantic, and now, tropical sun, 1940s battleships all around, and none of the familiar satellite signals. The ship's captain, Paul Richard Haley, a 48-year-old veteran from Texas who has been through Iraq, Afghanistan, and dozens of deployments, stands at the central display, gripping the railing so tightly his knuckles turn white. "Where the hell are we?" he quietly asks his executive officer. The AN/SPY 6 radar is already painting a terrifying picture. Hundreds of unidentified contacts approaching from the north at low altitude. The Aegis system automatically classifies them as hostile. "Captain, this is not a drill," reports the combat systems officer. "Radar signatures match piston aircraft from World War II. Identification: Japanese carrier-based planes." Haley freezes for a moment. He is an amateur historian, has read dozens of books about Pearl Harbor. He understands that the impossible has happened. "General quarters," his voice echoes throughout the ship. "All hands to battle stations. Launch the first squadron. This is no joke. We're in 1941 and the Japanese are already airborne." 0748, the EMALS electromagnetic catapults with their distinctive hum hurl 4 F-35C Lightning II fighters into the sky one after another in full stealth mode. The pilots, the elite of VFA-31 Tomcatters, receive a short order personally from Captain Haley. "Guys, you're not just defending a fleet, you're defending history. Don't let a single bomb fall on those ships. Follow the rules of engagement, but remember, today the fate of millions is being decided." 0755. At this moment, the first wave of Japanese aircraft, 183 planes under the command of Lieutenant Commander Mitsuo Fuchida, appears over Oahu. Sitting in the cockpit of his bomber, Fuchida looks down and cannot believe his eyes. In the center of the harbor stands an unimaginable monster of a ship, and strange jet aircraft with no propellers are shooting off its deck one after another. He grabs the microphone. "Tora! Tora! Tora!" But at that moment his radio fills with interference, and on the horizon the first explosions flare up. His wingmen's aircraft begin falling into the ocean, struck by invisible missiles from distances no one in 1941 could even dream of. Within 10 minutes, the first wave is completely destroyed. Not a single torpedo, not a single bomb reaches its target. Debris rains into the ocean 40 miles from the base. Fuchida is one of the few who managed to turn back and head north, but his plane is smoking, and in his headphones there are only the screams of dying comrades. 0810. Captain Haley gives the enemy no respite. On his order, EEA 18G Growlers, electronic warfare aircraft, take to the air. They create a solid curtain of jamming across all frequencies used in 1941. On the flagship carrier Akagi, Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo, a calm, composed strategist, suddenly loses contact with all aircraft. His radio operators panic. "Admiral, we're being jammed by some kind of devil ship. We can't hear anything." Nagumo frowns, gripping his binoculars. He does not yet know that his carefully planned operation is already doomed. AO-830, the second Japanese wave, 170 aircraft approaches the island. They are met by 2 full squadrons of A-18 Super Hornets. The battle turns into a massacre. Japanese Zeros don't even have time to see their enemy before being shot down by heat-seeking missiles. The sky over the Pacific is filled with parachutes and burning wreckage. Meanwhile, aboard the Gerald R. Ford, the tension eases only slightly. Sailors in the hangar look at the old battleships through the portholes in disbelief. "That's the Arizona. She was supposed to explode in half an hour." A young lieutenant whispers quietly, "We saved them all." 09:15. Captain Haley makes the hardest decision of the day. He understands. Simple defense is only half the job. The Japanese fleet must be destroyed before it escapes. An MH-60R Seahawk helicopter lifts off the deck. At the controls, Haley himself and 2 senior officers. The helicopter lands directly on the football field next to the Pacific Fleet headquarters. A tall Texan in modern camouflage steps out, a tablet in his hands. Sailors from 1941 recoil in terror at the rotors that never stop spinning. In Admiral Husband Kimmel's office, silence reigns. Haley places drone printouts on the table, precise coordinates of 6 Japanese aircraft carriers, photographs of decks loaded with aircraft prepared for a third wave. "Gentlemen," he says calmly but firmly, "I am Captain Paul Haley, commanding officer of the aircraft carrier Gerald R. Ford. We are from the year 2025. We have a chance to end this war today. Give me the go-ahead, and by evening the Japanese fleet will cease to exist." Kimmel, pale, watches footage from F-35 cameras, hundreds of Japanese aircraft plunging into the ocean. He nods. 11:30. The most powerful strike group in the history of aviation launches from the Ford. 44 aircraft, F-35C and FA-18ERF, armed with LR-ASM and AGM-158C anti-ship missiles. They are guided by E-2D Hawkeyes with radars that can see everything within 500 miles. 13:45, American aircraft reach the Japanese task force. Admiral Nagumo has just received fragmented reports of the complete destruction of the first 2 waves. He orders fighters to be launched immediately and prepares to withdraw, but it is already too late. From a distance of 180 miles, the salvo begins. LRASM missiles skim 5 meters above the water, invisible to 1941 radars and invulnerable to anti-aircraft fire. Akagi is hit first. Several missiles slam into the hangar packed with fueled and armed aircraft. The explosion shakes the entire ship. Nagumo, burned but still standing on the bridge, gives his final order: "Do not disgrace the Emperor's flag." 20 minutes later, Akagi sinks bow first. One by one, Kaga, Soryu, Hiryu, Shokaku, and Zuikaku are destroyed. By 15:00, only burning debris and life rafts remain on the water. By the evening of December 7, 1941, the Pacific truly becomes quiet. Not a single American ship has so much as a scratch. U.S. losses, 0. Japanese losses, the entire carrier fleet and nearly 400 aircraft. On the bridge of the Gerald R. Ford, Captain Paul Haley watches the sunset over Pearl Harbor. Sailors on the old battleship salute the new giant. Bands play. Some people cry with relief. Haley quietly says to his executive officer, "We changed history. Now our task is to help them win the war quickly with minimal casualties and maybe make the world better than it was in our reality." The crew of the Ford remains in 1941 forever. They become a living legend, people from the future who, under the command of Captain Paul Haley, in one incredible day saved thousands of lives and rewrote the course of World War II. Subscribe to the channel and like this video if you want more stories like this. Also suggest the stories you'd like to see in the comments. See you soon.